In the shadowed underbelly of a sprawling city, where power was measured in blood and loyalty, a notorious Mafia boss faced his greatest nightmare. His only son, a young man poised to inherit an empire built on fear and fortune, lay wasting away in a lavish penthouse-turned-makeshift hospital. The boy's body, once strong and commanding, now trembled with an inexplicable illness that defied every medical explanation. Fevers raged like wildfires. His skin paled to a ghostly hue, and his breaths came in ragged gasps that echoed through the opulent rooms. 100 of the world's most renowned doctors, specialists flown in from elite institutions across continents, had paraded through those doors, armed with cutting-edge technology and decades of expertise. They poked, prodded, and prescribed, but nothing worked. The boss, a man who had crushed rivals without a second thought, watched helplessly as his legacy slipped away. Whispers spread through the criminal underworld. Was this a curse? A poison from an enemy? Or something far more sinister? Yet, in the midst of this despair, an unlikely figure emerged from the fringes. A young black woman, daughter of the building's cleaning lady, whose hidden brilliance would challenge everything the powerful took for granted. Her presence alone stirred unease, for in a world steeped in prejudice, genius often went unseen when wrapped in the wrong skin. The city was a labyrinth of gleaming skyscrapers and forgotten alleys, where wealth and poverty collided in silent tension. At the heart of it stood the towering residence of Vincenzo Russo, the Mafia boss whose name evoked terror in boardrooms and backstreets alike. His son, Marco, had always been the golden heir, groomed in luxury and shielded from the grit of the streets. But 6 months ago, the illness struck without warning. It began with subtle fatigue, then escalated to seizures that left him bedridden, his vital organs failing one by one. Vincenzo spared no expense, summoning doctors from Harvard, Johns Hopkins, and international clinics. They diagnosed rare genetic disorders, tested for exotic toxins, and even explored experimental treatments, but each effort crumbled like sand. The penthouse buzzed with their futile debates, machines beeping in futile rhythm. Amid this chaos, in the building's lower levels lived Elena Thompson, a single mother who scrubbed floors and emptied trash bins to survive. Her daughter, Aisha, was 22, a quiet force with eyes that held the weight of unspoken dreams. Growing up in the shadows of affluence, Aisha had faced the sting of racism early, teachers dismissing her questions, classmates mocking her braided hair, and opportunities evaporating because of her address and appearance. Yet she devoured books in secret, teaching herself biology and medicine from library discards and online forums. By night, while her mother slept, Aisha experimented in their cramped apartment. Mixing herbal remedies rooted in her African heritage with modern science she gleaned from pirated journals. She had earned a scholarship to a local community college but dropped out when funds dried up, forced into part-time cleaning to help pay bills. Unbeknownst to the world above, Aisha's mind was a repository of knowledge, blending traditional wisdom with innovative theories that mainstream medicine overlooked. One evening, as she mopped the lobby, she overheard the doctor's frustrated murmurs drifting from the elevator. Curiosity ignited something within her, a spark that would soon illuminate the deep-seated biases woven into the fabric of society. As Marco's condition worsened, the penthouse became a fortress of desperation. Vincenzo's men patrolled the halls, their suspicion falling on anyone who didn't fit the mold of privilege. Aisha's mother, Elena, had worked there for years, her presence tolerated but never truly seen. One day, while cleaning the service corridors, Elena noticed discarded medical reports fluttering from a trash bin. She brought them home, where Aisha pored over them under a dim lamp. The symptoms resonated with her. Irregular heart rhythms, neurological lapses, and an immune response that mimicked an autoimmune storm but eluded standard tests. Aisha recognized patterns from her studies, echoes of environmental toxins compounded by genetic vulnerabilities, perhaps triggered by something in the boss's illicit dealings, like exposure to rare chemicals from black market operations. Driven by a mix of compassion and defiance, Aisha began piecing together a hypothesis. But entry into that world was barred by invisible walls, When she approached a lower-level guard with her ideas, he laughed, his words laced with derision. Who was she, a cleaner's kid from the projects, to question experts? The rejection burned, a reminder of the systemic barriers that sidelined black voices in science and medicine. Undeterred, Aisha shadowed the building's routines, slipping notes into Elena's hands to pass upward. One such note detailed a potential link to a forgotten allergen, cross-referenced with herbal antidotes from West African traditions. Elena, risking her job, whispered it to a sympathetic nurse. Word trickled up, but the doctors dismissed it outright. How could folklore compete with their degrees? Vincenzo himself, steeped in old-world prejudices from his Italian roots, viewed outsiders with contempt, especially those whose skin color evoked stereotypes he clung to. Tension mounted as Marco's seizures intensified, his body convulsing in ways that left bruises on his soul. Aisha delved deeper, sacrificing sleep to simulate treatments on paper, drawing from suppressed research on racial disparities in healthcare. She uncovered how biases in medical trials often ignored diverse populations, leading to blind spots in diagnoses. Her persistence drew scrutiny. Security cameras captured her lingering near the penthouse, prompting interrogations that dripped with racial undertones. "Stay in your lane," one enforcer snarled, echoing the microaggressions she had endured all her life. Yet each setback fueled her resolve, building emotional stakes that mirrored broader injustices. How genius was stifled by color, class, and closed doors. As days blurred into weeks, a breakthrough loomed. Aisha formulated a compound, blending synthetic inhibitors with natural extracts, tailored to Marco's unique profile. Convincing anyone to listen required navigating a minefield of discrimination, where her intellect was questioned before it was heard. The air thickened with anticipation, the city's pulse quickening as whispers of an improbable savior spread through the shadows. The penthouse pulsed with urgency as Marco teetered on the brink, his breath's shallow echoes in the sterile room. Vincenzo, his face etched with fury and fear, had exhausted every avenue. Bribes, threats, even underground healers. In a moment of raw vulnerability, he overheard Elena pleading with a doctor about her daughter's insights. Skeptical but desperate, he demanded Aisha's presence, his gaze heavy with doubt as she entered, her simple clothes a stark contrast to the room's opulence. The doctors hovered like vultures, their scorn palpable. One muttered about unqualified interference, his words a veil for deeper prejudices that viewed her as an intruder in their elite domain. Aisha stood firm, her hands steady as she presented her findings, a meticulously crafted serum derived from overlooked botanical sources and precise biochemical adjustments. The room crackled with tension. Vincenzo's men gripped their weapons ready to eject her at a sign of failure. As she administered the treatment under watchful eyes, time stretched into eternity. Marco's body reacted violently at first, convulsions ripping through him like thunder, sweat beading on his forehead. The doctors shouted warnings, insisting on intervention, but Aisha held her ground, monitoring vital signs with improvised tools. Then the shift came. His fever broke. Color flooded back to his cheeks, and his heartbeat stabilized in a rhythm that had eluded them for months. Gasps filled the air as monitors confirmed the impossible. Stabilization where science had faltered. In that peak of drama, the weight of racial injustice crystallized. Aisha's triumph pierced the veil of bias, forcing the powerful to confront their blindness. With Marco's recovery unfolding like a miracle, the penthouse transformed from a tomb of despair to a beacon of uneasy revelation. Aisha's serum not only mended his ravaged systems, but exposed the flaws in a medical establishment riddled with exclusion. Vincenzo, humbled by the debt he owed, ensured her anonymity at first, but word leaked into the underworld and beyond. Aisha's life shifted. Scholarships materialized. Doors to prestigious labs swung open, though not without lingering shadows of doubt from those who couldn't reconcile her success with their stereotypes. She pursued formal education, channeling her experiences into advocacy, highlighting how racism in healthcare led to overlooked innovations and unequal outcomes. Marco, forever changed, distanced himself from his father's empire, using his influence to support marginalized communities. The broader ripple was profound. Investigations into medical biases surged, inspired by this tale that blended fact with the echoes of real injustices faced by Black pioneers in science. Aisha's story became a quiet legend, reminding society of the untapped potential silenced by prejudice. In the end, it posed a haunting question. How many geniuses remain hidden in the margins, their gifts withheld by the chains of discrimination? Let this serve as a call to dismantle those barriers, fostering a world where brilliance shines regardless of origin, urging us all to reflect and act.